Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, the Reckless Amoeba podcast. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-hosts, Brandon Falinger.
Wait, are we doing this? What's happening now? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Yes, we are doing this. You can no longer fall asleep.
Look, alright. I'll sleep when I want.
Just don't pass out mid-podcast and be unresponsive for about 20 minutes before we realize you did pass out.
No promises.
And also, Ryan Stokiel.
Hey, I'm dying.
So, big Fooly Cooley news. The voice of Haruko is confirmed to be the same person. So, Kari Walgren and I forget who did the Japanese voice, but they're coming back. So,
woo!
Yay for consistency.
That's cool.
Yeah. Although I didn't watch it, the joke for this year's Adult Swim April Fools was Japanese dub everything, including a teaser of Fooly Cooley Season 3, which I didn't watch, but Season 2 will be coming out in July, and Season 3 will be coming out in September of this year, 2018, so pretty soon.
Here's what they really need to do, right? Here's the long con. What they do is they release Fooly Cooley Season 3 first, and then Season 2 afterwards. That's if they want to play the long con for the April Fool's Day.
Yes.
Then everybody's just confused.
Wait, is this Season 2 or is this Season 3?
Here's the thing, I don't know if you're even going to be able to tell, just because of the way that Season 1 ended. You never know. It would all depend on whether or not Season 2 and 3 match up at all.
Well, they do have subtitles. I believe Season 2 is progressive and Season 3 is alternative.
Again, for all we know, the stories are disconnected, though.
I think they're going to be released in movie format, like the Digimon Tri movies are.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, if the stories are disconnected, like Season 1 seems to be from the rest of it, you'll never know if they flip 3 and 2.
Unless it says alternative, then you'll know it's technically...
I mean, yeah, if you're going to start looking at subtitles, but if somebody doesn't know that, you'll never know the difference.
Ah, good point.
And even then, like, have they said that Season 2 is specifically called?
Yes, progressive.
Okay.
Season 2 is progressive, Season 3 is alternative.
Okay.
And I believe they're coming out in movie format in Japan July?
I think that's right. I want to say you're correct that it's that's the case.
So, right, are you looking forward to more Fooly Cooley?
I guess.
Okay, then. Swing the bat. Never knows best.
In other anime news, and this is a bit more disappointing as it happened just yesterday, I believe. Isao Takahata died, the partner of Hayao Miyazaki.
I thought that was 2 or 3 days ago, as of this
Was
recording.
it 2 or 3 days ago? Then
Yeah.
It was just yesterday I heard about it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he has passed on at 82.
Oh, man.
So, it's a shame, but I'd love to thank him for all the work he's done.
Yeah.
Even if it's not in person.
Totoro, Spirited Away,
Graveyard of
Porco
Fireflies.
Yeah.
Oh, he did all that
Basically
stuff?
all of them. I believe he's had a hand in every single one.
Yeah. Miyazaki and him did a lot, like most of the Ghibli stuff.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, in lighter news, do we have lighter news?
Let me Google.
Kind of lighter. news as opposed to death, and, well, not really, but, I recently...
Not really.
I recently finished Chance Season 2, and it's pretty good. I kind of liked Season 1 better, and unfortunately, there won't be any more, since, like, Hulu didn't renew them for a third season, but all 20 episodes are up on Hulu. Check it out if you like Hugh Laurie, and if you like psychological thrillers and stuff like that. It's a really good series.
I found some lighter news.
Yes?
The headline is, man uses lighter to kill bugs, accidentally sets house on fire.
I read
This
that.
place is 10.
I read that like a while ago, like a month ago.
I mean, that's lighter, I guess.
Well, this
now
was-
he's homeless.
Well, this was April 5th. This was 2 days ago.
Oh, that happened again?
Is this a common occurrence?
Some guy, I guess. Wow, over $20,000 worth of damages.
I read about this like a month and a half ago, where a man tries to kill a spider with a lighter and set his house on fire.
Why? Like, what are you doing? You taking deodorant and just holding up a lighter and turning it into a mini flamethrower? Like, why the hell are you burning insects? Like, I understand ticks. That makes sense, because those fuckers don't want to die, period. But regular bugs? Spiders? Really?
Maybe he was arachnophobic and his phobia got the best of him.
If he had arachnophobia, I don't think he'd do anything about the spider other than cower in the other corner of the room. And maybe call an exterminator, I would assume. But to take the logical jump to, I'm gonna burn this fucker, and not have, a fire extinguisher or a bucket of water nearby in case shit goes bad?
Probably trying to, like, I don't know even where that was.
Was he just trying to burn the webs and hope the spider died then too?
I don't know.
Like, don't get me wrong. Where was this, Orion? Does it actually say where?
I'm pretty sure it doesn't even say. It says Montgomery Street in Miamisburg. So probably Florida.
All right, that makes sense now. It's Florida. Never mind.
I also found out
I take back everything I said. It's Florida. That place doesn't make sense at all.
Apology
gets
to any
bad
Florida
rap.
listeners.
I'm not apologizing. They know it's true. They know what they're getting into when they move down there.
I know why Florida has so much crazy news come out. They don't have they're allowed to report on whatever happens. There isn't any kind of disclosure or anything for any of the things that happen down there.
Huh.
It's all open to the public. They can just look it up and report on it.
Hey.
Unlike in every other state. Oh, this was in Ohio.
Great.
Miamisburg, Ohio.
Yes, Miami's big.
All right. Reinstate everything I previously said before I took it back. What are you doing?
There's nothing to do in Ohio, I guess.
Why the fuck?
What even is in Ohio?
Potatoes?
It's round on the sides and high in the middle. I don't know.
Let's see. Oh yeah, the Rock
So,
and Roll
yeah.
Hall of Fame. I forgot of that.
Yeah, Ohio's one of those states you don't hear much about, in the way of interesting things.
There's nothing.
They don't even they don't have a big city that everybody knows about or anything. It's weird.
Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, that is in Ohio, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nowhere near I don't know, New York or
Philly?
Philly. God damn it! I'm blanking on the name of it now.
Los
Chicago,
Angeles?
L.A., Chicago,
Seattle?
Austin, Seattle. You don't hear about Cincinnati all that often.
Welcome to Naming Cities, the podcast.
Columbus, Ohio.
Well,
Okay,
yeah, but that's
okay.
a state capital, so I mean that's kind of
Oh, yeah, that's
common
right.
knowledge.
Yeah, it's about all they got.
But, like, it's just... Look, sooner or later, we're going to go on to Wacko's States, all right? We're just going to turn into Animaniacs. We keep going like this.
Oh, wait, or was that... No, that was the
Constantinople.
world.
That's Yakko's universe.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, that was right. That's Wacko's States.
Okay, yeah.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru. No, wait, no, that's Yakko's world.
Okay.
That's Yakko's world.
Yeah, okay.
It was... Oh,
it's like Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Indianapolis, Indiana,
Mexican
something along those lines. I probably fucked up the lyrics somehow. But anyway, other news is more along the lines of like Dragon Ball Super is wrapped up.
yes.
It makes me sad and happy at the same time. In part because I feel like there's a lot that's left kind of lingering at the end of Super. It feels kind of rushed, even if the final fight was really good.
Series?
As far as we know, I don't know if they're going to bring it back up after the movie in December. We don't know if they're coming back or not.
Because from what I understand, the Super manga is monthly rather than weekly.
This is the case. It's also only starting the last arc that the anime just wrapped up. Like, I believe they're just at the start of the tournament. I haven't actually read it the last month, so I don't know exactly where they're at. But I believe that's right around there. They were just getting to the arena. So I'm curious about the differences between the manga and the anime and how that's going to play out.
Because from what you told me, the Goku Black arc is vastly different.
There's a vast difference. It starts off the same, but splits off pretty drastically.
Yeah. So much so, when we do cover the Goku Black arc in a few months, we might have to do a manga comparison episode.
We'll probably do that in a deep end thing, I think.
Okay.
It'd probably be best to go along that end for it. And just have that comparison between the two and the differences.
So stay tuned for that in about September-ish, maybe?
Yeah, probably. Because from what I saw of, like, Toonami's version, they just got Back from the Future for the first time?
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Back to the Future.
That's gonna repeat a lot.
Oh, and speaking about Back to the Future, Sharknado 6 is coming.
That makes me so excited.
It will be the last one, and it will be a time travel movie.
Until they reboot it in, like, 3 years.
Yep.
If they reboot Sharknado,
It'll be called Piranha-nado.
July
Piranhado.
25th. So, any fans of Sharknado, watch it and enjoy it, and I'll probably be doing a mini review of it afterwards, like I did with Sharknado 5.
And then we'll go over and watch Piranhado. What would it be? Piranhado.
Tornado sounds like cats.
That would be Piranhado. Piranhado would be the piranhas in the Amazon. Look, all right, I've just sold. Who does the Sharknado films? I forget. I'm blanking on the name.
Asylum.
All right, Asylum. I just gave you a golden opportunity here for a spiritual successor. All right, pay me money.
I'm
pretty sure that's how it works.
I'm just waiting for Love Lantula 3 with, like, Michael Winslow and some of the other guys from Police Academy.
Oh, God.
So, fuck?
Speaking of that, I've actually started up a new game on the side, besides, playing on my new Nintendo Switch that I picked up from Toys R Us during its closing sales.
Oh, wow.
I got a whole 5% off. But I guess 5% is better than no percent.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's $15 I saved. Best part of that is, right, I was there the day before the sales when it was supposed to start, and they delayed it a day. And there was only one Switch in there, right? I end up going in the next day when the sales actually ended up starting, buying it, and then coming back, like, over the weekend with a friend of mine who wanted to take a look. And there were then 4 more that they had for some reason. So, like, well, what the fuck? But the other part is, too, somebody bought a PS4 when I was there getting my Switch. And when I came back that weekend, there were no more. So apparently they must have only had that one PS4.
Wow.
But anyway, I got a Switch now. I'm happy. I'm playing Zelda and Mario Odyssey, so fun stuff. But, God, I started this off somehow. What was I going to say? Do you guys remember how I started this? Because I don't remember it all.
No.
Something about Sharknado.
After that.
Oh,
right. I was playing it. You reminded me of it because they were playing, you were talking about cops or whatever. I started playing Beat Cop, which is a really interesting pixel-styled game where you're literally a cop taking care of, like, your block of the city. So you're having to write out, like, tickets for cars and parking violations, whether it's lights.
Is rhythm involved?
No.
No.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's like you're on the beat. You're a cop that's on the beat.
Okay, I thought it was a cop that keeps to the beat.
No.
I Googled image that, and I was surprised that the game actually came up, and not something entirely different.
It's really interesting in that you have a whole bunch of different stuff that's happening, and there's a great disclaimer at the beginning that basically says this is like a tribute and a send up to all the 80s cop TV shows we used to watch as kids. And so far it's cheesy and great, and I love it so much so far. The whole plot is that, like, you're a cop that's been more or less framed for, like, this... I forget if it was, like, it's either murder or theft or something. It's not really made super clear in the beginning. And you've been demoted from, like, a private investigator down into, like, a regular old beat cop. So your thing is that, all right, I got to figure out how the fuck I was framed and get out of this. And you have 21 days until, I believe it's the commissioner or the sergeant, one of the two, of the of your precinct ends up retiring and cannot help you get out of this anymore. Now, this is also set in the 80s, so we have, your darkies, aka black people, and we have you have the Italian mafia that's apparently running the show behind the scenes of a pizza shop, as well as all sorts of other, like, crazy characters. Yeah, it's a fun game. I'm enjoying it.
Okay. Now let's get into our main entree of the episode, to use a food reference again. Ryan, this might be a little bit of a tough one, to say the least.
Okay.
Fate Apocrypha.
What's it called?
Fate Apocrypha.
I can sense the loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do I even interpret this?
I don't even know.
Can't think of anything humorous. Okay.
Like a bone? No. Not even a bone.
No. Well, this is the 6th entry, and I'm just counting series, but this is the 6th entry in the Fate franchise, which includes 4 series with the prefix Fate, a magical girl spin-off, and a multiverse comedy with, like, 2 other franchises made by this people, all crammed into one comedy scenario. But this is typically action, adventure, some comedy sprinkled out, but for the most part, the Fates series is pretty much serious as a whole.
It's a very interesting, and it does get very dark at points.
Yes. So, Ryan, if you...
Let me also point this out. This is a standalone series, too. This doesn't connect to any of the other ones.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Due to something happening before this series, this kind of branches off from Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night. By the way, we did a Fate Zero episode. You should really check it out.
Yeah, like, there's a bit of a twist in what happens as far as, like, the history of the series, in that it causes a branch off before Fate Zero.
Yeah.
I've heard of Fate Zero.
Yeah, it's Gen Urobuchi. He is amazing in what he does, and we will cover a few more of his works later this summer. So stay tuned for that.
I can't wait to do Fate Extra. That's gonna be fun. Oh.
Although he really didn't have anything to do with Apocrypha. It had a light novel run from December 2012 to December 2014, and a manga that's currently going on. Interesting, I didn't know about that.
I haven't seen it, so I didn't know.
But this anime series ran from July 2017 up until right before New Year's Eve of 2017, so very recent.
I loved it so much.
It was good. It was really, really good. So, Ryan, if you could meet anybody from history, real or legendary, who would it be?
Yeah, real or fictional, essentially.
Let's see.
So I am going to say you could pull a character out of, like, let's say like a classic history book or something, if you would want. Or not history, sorry, like a classic fiction book of some kind. Sci-fi or something like that.
It
if you
would have
want.
to be like, probably like a demigod or something.
So, as in who?
Like Hercules.
Okay.
Or,
That's completely possible.
I don't know.
Try to pick one.
A lot.
I know, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of history. And legends and myths and stupid shit.
Yes, yes.
I'd also like to meet the first person that learned to speak or be in that. Or, you know who? Genghis Khan.
Ooh. I thought it was Genghis Khan, but I've heard both pronunciations.
Okay.
That one would be cool. I haven't seen that one yet.
Or, I don't know, those, like Alexander the Great.
Oh, Alexander the
Those
Great.
type of, those dudes.
Let's see here.
Those
he does
who watch
exist.
Fate Zero know what we're laughing about.
He does exist. Genghis Khan was in a Fate series at some point.
Oh, really? That's
Fate
cool.
Genesis. I've never heard of this one, but he has shown up in that. There's not much on it, though.
Apparently he had red hair.
Which one?
Genghis Khan.
Supposedly.
Red hair and blue eyes.
There's a lot of contention as to whether or not that's the case, but yes.
Well, apparently, like, the Mongols actually that was, like, kind of common, I guess, to have red hair.
I've heard there were mudbloods, as in they just took everyone.
Yeah.
So you could have just about anything in there, from blonde to black to red, which is why it makes it kind of hard to make it a full-on distinction for Genghis Khan.
And without really spoiling the twist of Fate Zero, which is a whole nother episode, basically, 7 servants are summoned by 7 mages, and servants are historical figures, whether they be real or imaginary, or, more legendary, like Robin Hood, for example. It is a saber class, which is more swords, more archer class, which is more of bows and arrows, long distance fighter, lancer, more spears, and stuff like that. Rider class uses horses, chariots. I think there was even one of them who had a bit of a rider subclass to them, was very good at driving motorcycles. Oh yes. Yes, your favorite.
I mean, obviously, there's like not just ancient history. Like there are others from like more current timelines, like introducing the motorcycle as an idea. Like you could summon, say, the Red Baron as a rider class due to his, airplane.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot they had airplanes and stuff like that.
Boats are an option.
Caster. Could Christopher Columbus be summoned? Since he was...
Yes.
Huh. Okay. Caster class, which is summoning their own minions, whether it's...
Think like a super mage is like kind of the idea.
Whether it's skeletons, vampires, or tentacles. Berserker class is insane, doesn't really listen to reason, and just goes all out in its attack style. And assassin class,
Well, hold on. Let me just clear up something about Berserker class. Berserker class entails anybody who has gone insane at some point in their life. The person is summoned and then placed under what is called a mad enhancement, which increases all of their physical abilities at the cost of their sanity.
And assassin class, very stealthy, kills from the shadows, stuff like that. So, for example, Genghis Khan, would he be assassin?
Archer.
I think it'd be Berserker.
There are alternates to that. Berserker is one of them. Rider is also one of them, but mainly he's an archer.
An archer, okay.
Because like his whole legend is the idea of like archery on horseback.
Yeah, they're trained at like very young ages to learn how to ride horses.
And then all 7 the masters fight against each other until the last one remains. But in Fate Apocrypha, due to the thing that happened during the 3rd Holy Grail War...
Yes, that is your main prize, the Holy Grail, which is not a small cup.
Yeah, during the 3rd Holy Grail War, stuff happened, and now during this new war, the Great Grail War, Greater Grail War, since there are now lesser Holy Grails floating around for some reason.
Yeah, I've never been quite clear on that one myself.
2 of each class have been summoned, and now they're in Black Faction and Red Factions, along with a special 15th servant that's been summoned by the Grail itself. Is it Judge or...
Ruler.
Ruler
is basically someone, is a character that's brought in that does not want anything from the Grail, because the Grail's main purpose is to grant someone's wish, right? The Grail summoning a ruler class servant is someone who summons a servant who does not want anything. They do not want to wish. They don't have any reason to do it. So therefore they can be an impartial judge and make sure the rules of the Holy Grail War are being followed. And now that we have a 7 versus 7 servant setup, there's a lot of rules that need to be followed by a lot of people.
And just running through a few of them, in this war, we have, Chiron from ancient Greece, Vlad III, aka Dracula.
Vlad the Impaler.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We have
Achilles.
We have Siegfried. We have Mordred.
Mordred.
Yes, and I kind of liked her. Okay, she was a good character. I know she was Sundari. Okay, let's just leave that there. Let's just say that. Yes, Mordred was a good character. She was in my top 3 of this season.
Spartacus.
Yes.
There's another one.
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper was in this.
I know why you spent $200 trying to get her.
Fuck you, granddaughter. Fuck you for that.
Wait, what?
Long story short, there was a mobile game, Fate Grand Order, and he spent $200 trying to get Jack the Ripper, which is a 10-year-old girl.
Is she 10? I wasn't sure she was younger.
Younger than 10.
Yeah. I was thinking single-digit ages, but she could be 10. She's got a very sad backstory, man.
Yes, very tragic backstory, very awesome character in the sense of, like, fighting style. Either that or you could be a pedophile.
Look, alright. We're not going to talk about your Fate Zero crush on Rin, okay?
It was Fate Stay Night.
Look, whatever helps you sleep at night.
Was she in Zero?
Yes. She was very prominently featured in Zero.
Oh, in the pit scenes with...
That's Sakura.
Oh, then I don't remember her in Zero.
Anyway, getting back, who else was Frankenstein's monster?
Oh, yes. Who really only, like, grunts.
Yeah. I mean, Berserker class.
Yeah.
To the point where you don't have the ability to have normal human speech. Mm-hmm. Granted, I don't think she ever had that ability even in life when you look at the memories, too. Because there are, like, flashbacks to her time when she was alive.
Oh, and the best servant this season, William Shakespeare.
He's so good!
What the hell? What class was he?
Caster.
What did he cast?
Illusions.
Oh, okay.
Using his writing, he creates illusions.
Huh.
He creates stories.
He is so hammy.
He's great. I love him. He survives all the way to the end. Oh, he's so good.
But then Chiron survives till the end, doesn't?
Chiron. It would be the pronunciation of that one. Chiron.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. Astolfo.
Okay.
Yeah. Who...
One of the 12 paladins of Charlemagne.
Yes.
Huh.
Who looks very feminine, but around episode 20 has a surprise penis.
I mean, you call it a surprise. I thought it was pretty clear the entire time.
The fact that it's voiced by a female... Like,
yeah, it leads to that illusion,
like
right?
Female.
It lends.
And the fact that I knew nothing about the 12 Riders of Charlemagne, I knew nothing about that. I'm like, oh, it's a girl.
Yeah, I didn't either until this series. It didn't take me long to figure out, like, oh no, this is a male. It took me a while to, like, stop calling it a woman, even though my brain knew it was a male. Like, I kept saying, oh man, she's going all out. I'm like, oh, wait, no, that's a, oh crap, God damn it, I'm still doing it.
That's penis.
Well, I was surprised.
Yeah, well, I just, like, Google image, and it shows just this girl with pink hair.
That's a dude.
That is Astolfo. That is a man.
What?
I mean, there's an entire scene in the series that's just like, well, I wear it because I like it. It's like, all right, sure, that's fine.
Your penis is hanging out of your dress.
No, but...
I mean, it's short enough, it could.
No, but each one of these people have unique abilities tied to their legends. And,
okay.
Yeah, like, Achilles, he does have a weakness of his heel.
They even explain it, which is pretty cool, in that he was dipped into, what was it, the river Styx, except for his heel, in order to maintain some of his humanity, rather than to completely become a god.
I think that's, like, kind of how... Isn't that, like... For the most part,
they really stick to the legends. There are a couple of things that they alter, but for the most part, it's fairly close. What was one of the other ones? Like, oh god, who was it? Jack the Ripper. Like, Jack the Ripper's fighting style is that she can literally summon the mists of London to hide and cloak herself.
And,
Like, she goes on a killing spree in an entire town.
And
at one
also,
point.
she can summon children. Sad children.
I mean, that I don't even know if that's an illusion or like a full-on reality marble. Just for your information and anyone else who doesn't know this, a reality marble is just like where you layer your own mental mindscape, like the way you view the world, over top of reality for a temporary amount of time.
So kind of you're summoning them into your mind.
More or less, yes. It's probably the best way to think about it. So, like, in the case of Jack the Ripper, you get an entire scene of how horrible London was in, like, the 1800s for children. There's an entire point where you see a small child, like, running away in fear, only to then get run over by a carriage, like a horse-drawn carriage. Like, it does not pull any punches in that. It shows you full on.
Full on.
Yeah.
Full on.
There's Spartacus, who can kind of regrow limbs.
He has, like, ridiculous regeneration, and to the point where, like, what was it? His noble phantasm is the idea of, like, all the damage he takes, he then reflects back in a self-destructive attack.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And noble phantasm is something tied to the person or legend. For example, Arteria...
Like, the strongest connection,
attack.
I would say.
And in this franchise, King Arthur is a woman. And she goes by the name Saber, which we've referenced a lot since Brandon really has a thing for Saber.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's kind of hard for me at this point, because I don't know whether I like Mordred or Arteria more at this point, now that I've actually had my time with Mordred.
Like, Arteria will have the Excalibur as her final attack thing.
Her noble phantasm. But yeah, it's basically an item, a technique, or something that is so tied to the legend that you can't separate it from that legend. Like with Jack the Ripper, you cannot separate the mists of London from that legend. It's tied together as one and the same, almost. And
diving into it a bit without spoiling too much, so there's 7-on-7 with lots of double crossing, lots of going out on their own.
Lots of pulling the rug out from underneath everybody.
Oh, yes.
I'm not even gonna lie, there are points that I'm a little disappointed in that, like, with Vlad, and I won't get into specifics here, but I wanted him to last longer, and he didn't. Like, the way he went just felt too fast.
Yeah. Yeah, since he had, like, 2 episodes mostly focused on him, and then he was gone.
Like, don't get me wrong, right? The matchup that put him down felt like it would end that way. I just felt it went too quickly. And it was also kind of off-screen.
Kind of.
Which is what makes it feel like a disappointment. Maybe that was cut for time. I don't know.
But there was one thing that I kind of was a little bit surprised.
Hold on.
Okay.
You want to hold that thought for a second?
Sure.
We didn't mention the ruler class.
Oh.
We didn't mention who that one was.
Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc is the ruler class.
So, was Joan of Arc a dude in this?
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
I don't blame you for questioning it, though.
Although they do some gender swapping in this franchise due to like story and the legend itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there were some legends that said Arthur was a woman who pulled the sword. Because it said, like, the one who pulls the sword from the stone shall be king of England, not he who, or, like,
Not
the
he.
man.
There were also interpretations that, due to the fact that Arthur never seemed to age after pulling the sword from the stone, it could have been interpreted to have been a woman. Like, there were things that say she never, like, she never grew a beard, etc., etc. Like, the normal things you would think of as a man that would age.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to happen. There's also, like, Leonardo da Vinci, who is also a woman in, like, at least in the version of Fate Grand Order, which is also interesting in that some people, and this is more of another, not quite legend, but myth, I guess, surrounding it, is that the Mona Lisa, due to the way it was painted, is thought to be a self-portrait of Leonardo.
What?
And as such, they, because nobody knows who the Mona Lisa is. The person that's painted in that painting, nobody knows who that is. And because of the way that it's sitting, it would be as if you were someone painting and looking in a mirror trying to paint yourself.
Yeah.
It's that same style and that same position, which is why people tend to be like, Leonardo could have been a man.
Woman,
whatever.
And wasn't in Grand Order Tesla, Edison had the head of a lion.
Yeah, Edison has the head of a lion. As ridiculous as that is, yes. At least in the terms of Fate Grand Order, and this is, obviously we're going on a tangent here, but in the explanation for that is the idea of, let me explain that. There are like singularities in the world where there's a piece of the Holy Grail and you need to go to that timeline and fix it, otherwise it kind of destroys humanity's history. And in this world, apparently, there's a whole bunch of Celtic warriors and servants that have invaded America. And as such, Edison was then summoned as one of the servants, but he wasn't strong enough to take them down. So a bunch of other servants of American presidents invested their strength into him. And as part of that, he ends up developing like the head of a lion.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's also like weird. Like, why? But it's like a white lion head. He also calls himself the Preza King.
Oh my god.
It's so stupid.
And jumping back into Apocrypha, when they were saying, oh, we need to meet with the priest, and they say, oh, you mean Kotomine? I'm like, damn it, is Kote in this timeline?
Kirei's everywhere.
Kirei. Yeah, but it was Shiru Kotomine, which is the main protagonist's first name of Fate Zero. So
Stay Night, actually.
Stay Night, that's right. Yeah, so they combined the two names and maybe personalities?
Yes and no. It's an interesting way of looking at it. I'm not really sure if it's a combination of the two or if it's a different branch all in of itself.
Okay.
Like, I can see a bit of it in either side.
Yeah, but he's a very interesting character.
Mm-hmm. He's got his own reasons and ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me also point out, because this is something we've kind of not talked about, the main protagonist of this series is a homunculus. A false human being. Like an artificially created human is what I should say.
And although it's in, like, episode 4 or 5, there's no big spoiler that we should say?
Yeah, it's not a big spoiler.
Okay.
Honestly, like, until that point, he was just being used as a power source until he kind of became self-conscious.
Siegfried, who is the saber of the Black faction, didn't really like his master and what his master was going for, so he gives this homunculus his heart. He sacrifices himself for this homunculus, and this homunculus names himself Sieg after Siegfried.
Well, it's not just that he doesn't like his master, it's that Siegfried decided for the first time in his life he was going to do something he wanted to do, other than what other people asked of him.
Because the whole legend
he was always a selfless hero, and as such, this one time he decided to be selfish and save a person that would have died within, I think they said he would die in like 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would have died within 3 years because his entirety of his life was not meant to last that long.
And he has a very unique ability. Now that he has the heart of Siegfried, he can temporarily change into Siegfried. Powers and all.
Oh, shit.
So he becomes, I guess you could call it a demi-servant?
Kind of.
I think that's kind of the best way to look at it, because there's a character kind of like that in Granddaughter, and that's the title they give them.
Oh, okay.
It's very interesting in, like, the idea of, by having a piece of this hero inside of your body, you can now temporarily claim his abilities. Now the question would be whether or not he can reach the same level as Siegfried himself or not. But who knows? It's up in the air.
And
Needless to say, there's an amazingly epic battle involving him at the second to last or third to last episode.
yeah, I remember you mentioning that like a few months ago on the podcast about how the animation was amazing, and
Oh yeah,
oh my god, like some of the fight choreography in the later episodes.
there's an entire fight that takes place on a
an
Boeing
airplane.
747 on the airplane wings, into the cockpit, back out the other side onto the other wing, and it's just a bare knuckle brawl. It's not even weapons. It's fucking amazing.
One thing that I'll have to say about the Fate franchise, from what I've seen, it has like good characters with like deep backstories and lore because they're historical figures or legendary figures, and amazing fight choreography.
On a Boeing 740 fucking 7. It's so good. Just a bare knuckle brawl. It's like something out of the 80s with how fucking corny it is.
Without being corny.
Without being corny, with being dead serious. And you take it seriously. Good.
Didn't Berserker in Zero take control of a 747 and use it as a projectile?
He took control of a jet fighter.
Oh, jet fighter, okay.
But I mean, that was basically having an aerial battle, right? That
Okay.
was basically a jet-on-jet action in that case.
Yeah,
This
but
is a bare knuckle brawl at a 747. Come on.
after this, I am going to maybe watch the rest of the Fate series and just maybe watch highlights from the Magical Girl series just in case I need a good laugh.
Don't get me wrong, the fights in that are still good. I just can't get over the Magical Girl genre encompassing it. And that's probably just me. I don't like it.
Basically, it's a spin-off of Stay Night.
Yeah.
Oh, which reminds me, there's also another spin-off of Stay Night, mainly focused on Shiro and cooking, so it's...
Just a cooking show. It's just Shiro goes to Totsuki Academy.
Although I haven't watched it yet, I did hear there are some pretty good recipes on that show.
I want that to be a crossover now so bad. I want to be a transfer student for like a day as an episode. And just see what he and Soma end up cooking up.
Will Rin and Saber be there to provide backup?
They will be his taste testers. Because God knows Saber can't resist food. God.
And
Yes, the final episodes, they really kick up the animation budget specifically, and I think it's 22 with the battle involving Siegfried. And there's a little bit more of it in the final battle in 24.
25
nowhere-
was the final.
Was it 25? Then in 25.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere near as much as in that last one.
And because she is her father's daughter, or, like, whatever, due to, like, sex exchange for the purpose of procreation, but Mordred is also food crazy.
Well, technically, she's a clone, is the idea behind Mordred.
So she was a clone of Arthur, not a daughter.
No.
Oh.
That's why she's illegitimate. She was a clone.
Oh.
Morgan Le Fay, who is also Arthur's, I believe, older sister, at least in this version of events anyway, ends up combining like Arthur's semen in this case, like during the point where yes, I know, crazy, right? Merlin's a bit of a dick, let's put it that way, and decides to do a few things to make sure that, procreation can happen. Morgan Le Fay ends up taking advantage of that, gaining some of the semen. I believe she combines it with her own egg and ends up creating Mordred through that.
Who is also female.
I believe
in this
she
series.
also. Yes, Mordred's also female, and I believe she also increased like the aging speed that Mordred went through in order to speed up her plans. But we get a whole thing like with memories between Mordred and Arthur and how their relationship plays out. Like this is one thing I've always wanted to see from the Fate series is just I want to see like a full on like I want to call it like Fate Chronicles, I guess would be a good way to call it. And just like I want to see the legends take place in front of me. I don't want to see just like the snippets and clips that we get in the main series of their backgrounds. I want to see like give me like a 3-episode series of like the beginning, middle, and end of these legends. Or if it's a shorter, legend, like a 1-episode thing. And just like have an entire collection of that. Like that would be amazing to see. Like I would love to see like the Chronicles of King Arthur in like a 3-episode package. I'd love to see how Frankenstein plays out in their version of events. I would love to see how Jack the Ripper came to be.
Yeah, and they all have like amazing abilities, like Frankenstein's monster or Frankie. Did she like being called Frankie or not? I forget.
I don't remember. He calls her Berserker a lot, just because like the idea behind that is you call them by their class name because otherwise, if the opponent knows who they are, they'll have an idea of how to fight back against them.
Yeah, but
so you want to keep that the secret
powers
for as long as possible. Oh yeah, no, she's got of course. Like she got life through lightning. So she has lightning powers. She has an electrical giant ass mace that she smacks people around with. Like there's a point where you think she's dead, but because she's made of different body parts, she can reassemble herself.
So, in closing, who were some of your favorite characters, Brandon?
Oh God, let me see here.
Of course, Shakespeare.
Oh, obviously, yes. Shakespeare's got to be number one.
So
I can't not.
Hammy.
It's great.
Hammy.
Literally, it's just, please, I need to write down this story. It's so good.
And like, as the world was collapsing around him, he was like, "This is glorious. I shall write it down.
This is the greatest story I've ever written." And like, pages are flying through the air. And I'm like, all right, he's going to disappear. Those are physical pages. Those are going to be found by people. Like, that's going to be left behind. I'm like, what does that mean for the world if pieces of, like, literature that Shakespeare wrote are found and still exist in a current page? Like, shit like that is just like, but how is that? What? But Shakespeare's number one, clearly. It's a toss-up between Mordred and Joan, because I love them both so much.
Mm-hmm.
They're both really good. And then Jack's probably third.
I kind of like Astolfo's character because
he's half insane.
Yeah, and as stated on a previously recorded Dragon Ball FighterZ, which will probably be out after this, I like more insane, like, comical characters.
Oh, and Astolfo's all over that role.
Oh, yes, he is hilarious.
Like, between him and Shakespeare, like, they are the corny duo. I would have loved to have seen them just, like, if they weren't on opposing sides, I'd love to see them get together for a scene and just see what happens.
And, okay, I do like Mordred, yes, Sundari, but her character is good, too. I really did like Sig, since he was, like, fighting against his homunculus destiny to be more than just a power source.
Like well, that's part of the theme is in this, in which I feel like is something that should be mentioned probably. Mm-hmm. One of the major themes of this series is, like, is humanity worth saving? Like, the wish for the main antagonist is essentially to get rid of humanity. So it comes down from that outsider's perspective of, are they worth saving? Which is part of the reason why Sieg and Joan of Arc spend a lot of time together. Joan believes they are worth saving. Sieg is unsure. And he sees constantly a lot of the bad shit that happens, especially when he gets a view of Jack's backstory.
And there was that fox girl.
Lion girl.
Lion?
Atalanta.
Atalanta.
Yes. That's right. You were going to ask me about like why she was a lion or half lion. I believe, if I recall correctly, the legend goes in that she was sworn to the goddess of the moon. What's her name? Goddess of the hunt, goddess of the moon. I'm blanking on her name right now, and this is going to drive me up a wall until I remember it. Sister of Apollo. Apollo's sister. Artemis. Sworn to Artemis. That was who it was. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, you're supposed to say chaste. You're not supposed to have sex, period, none of that stuff. So one of the things that ends up happening is that somebody tries, to marry her, and as such, she goes, I can't, I'm sworn to Artemis. But eventually she's coerced into like, all right, if you can beat me in a foot race, we'll do this. We'll tie the knot, etc., etc. Well, guy ends up beating her in a foot race, ends up marrying her, and of course, consummate the marriage. Mm-hmm. And so Artemis ends up cursing her and turning them both into lions. So, which is why when she's summoned, she has the ears and tail of a lion. Yeah, it's part of the legend.
But she's not like Edison that has the head of a lion.
No.
She's just ears, tail, and just like little accessories.
Little accessories, yes. In Edison's case, he was the combination of multiple servants. In this case, it's part of her legend.
She might have cute paw pads under those gloves, but we never really see that.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? She doesn't take those off. I mean, even the fight between her and Joan is good. Like, that's really good, too. Like, there's an entire point because... and I'm sorry, I'm kind of extending this when I probably shouldn't.
It's fine.
But there's an entire scene between Jack, Joan, and Atalanta where Joan ends up killing Jack. And because Atalanta's entire wish for the Grail is to save all children, kind of like in the same way that she was saved as a child, it kind of breaks her mentally, and as such, she has a grudge against Joan for the rest of the arc, or the rest of the series, culminating in like an amazing final battle where she's like throwing everything away to try and beat her.
So I would highly recommend this anime to anybody listening, and any of the other Fate franchise entries.
Fate is a great series. I can't speak for the spin-offs. If you like Magical Girls, I guess you could check that out. I don't personally.
It has 3 seasons from what I understand, so it must be good.
At least in Japan. It's doing well, but Magical Girls tend to do very well in Japan, period.
Hey, just look at the Pretty Cure franchise.
Yeah. That doesn't end.
So, Ryan, would you have any interest in watching this?
I think... we talked about Fate Zero before?
You weren't on, Andrew was.
Okay.
We probably referenced it a lot, though.
Yeah.
The series sounds pretty cool, though. I'd probably watch it.
24 or 25 half-hour episodes.
Yep.
Or 20 minutes, 25 minutes, somewhere in there.
25 minutes.
Okay.
It's a very good series. I enjoy everyone. Well, I say that. I'm currently watching Fate Extra Last Encore. I'm not enjoying that one as much. I think I found the redheaded stepchild in this series, in the franchise.
Is it good?
Like, what do you mean?
I mean, is it, like, good but not wonderful?
I'm going to reserve opinion until we actually talk about this one specifically.
Okay.
I'm also not finished with it, so I'm also reserving it because of that. Okay. Because it's not done yet.
Okay. So, that wraps up this episode. Come back next week for more anime.
More horror, more hatred, more despair.
More lighter fires.
No.
Right. I'm gonna light it up right now.
Actually, I think no despair next week because, okay, spoiler, My Neighbor Totoro for the 30th anniversary.
Yay.
Yay.
And this is one we'll actually have a real discussion about because we're all going to watch the movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Watch
Later.
it. Oh, night.
Bye.
Bye.